All right, and there we are. We're in. We're on. We're out. We're making things happen, Matt. And you're here to basically shoot the words with me from outer
All right.
space because you're the Star Trek
All right. Fire
cello
away.
guy.
I sure am.
You sure?
I even got my cello in the other room if you want me to go get it.
Listen, it might not fit on the screen. You know, cellos are
That's
pretty
true.
big.
It's big. But as you know, a cello is nothing but a gigantic violin.
That's right.
So, and I started out playing violin. So I kind of moved up from
the violin. Now, is it true that cello is an A instrument? I know violin is an A instrument, right? It's tuned to an A. Like a guitar is an E, a bass is a C.
Well, not exactly. I mean, all those instruments that you mentioned are all C instruments, meaning that they don't transpose. So when you write in music a C and you play it on an instrument, it sounds a C.
Oh, I was talking about the tuning. You know, like when you play guitar.
But a guitar is like a E, has a low E.
Yeah, it's
and
so
it's quite easy to play an E chord on a guitar. You can do it with 3 fingers. It's also not the major.
It's easy to play an E chord on a piano too, but that is actually not a string instrument. It is a percussion instrument. Some people get that wrong.
Well, it has strings.
Yeah, but it's percussioned. It has the hammers. It's like a hammer dulcimer.
You whack them instead of plucking them or drawing a bow across them.
Yeah, whack 'em, sack 'em, robot over there.
And then if you went to an orchestral score, you would find the piano grouped with the other percussion instruments.
That's right. That's why I said it was percussion.
Yeah, because we got xylophones and glockenspiel and so on, vibes and all those, which kind of piano-like in a way.
Now, was there any instruments you saw and you were just like, violin it is, and then you were like, you know what? I want to have a bad back, so I'm going to carry around a cello.
Well, okay. I was sort of born into playing the violin because my mom was a Suzuki violin teacher.
Okay. Not the car people.
Like Dr. Shinichi. Have you heard of Dr. Shinichi Suzuki?
Not me personally, but I do know they exist.
Yeah.
I don't know much about them.
No, it's okay. Suzuki is a very common Japanese name. It's kind of like Smith. So the Suzuki violin method doesn't have a whole lot of relations to the Suzuki motorcycles and such things. But anyhow, so part of the Suzuki method is that he encourages pregnant mothers to listen to music and or play music while the child is still in the womb. So the child hears all this stuff through the mother's stomach, and then so by the time he or she is born, they're like, okay, where's my violin? So that's like me. I just came into the world thinking that everybody plays violin.
Yeah. Now, were you disappointed when you found out not everybody plays the violin?
It was a gradual realization, so it wasn't like I just suddenly, had my whole world fall apart. I just started noticing that certain people play violin and others don't.
Yeah. And they're not as cool. If you can't play violin, don't even come to the music room.
Okay. Now, these days playing violin is cool, right? Like rock bands have violin players in them. Cello is cool. Like if you play violin or cello, like even 90s grunge bands had violin players in them, including me.
Yeah.
I got a plug that I played in an Alice in Chains album, by the way.
That's right.
Did you see that in my bio?
I did. I'm looking right at it. It says here, right here.
I played in a song called Jar of Flies, which was nominated for a Grammy. Unfortunately, it didn't get the Grammy, but it does have a YouTube video of over 30 million views. So,
well, yeah, I mean, it's connected.
And it's a spot where the violin goes da 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 da. And that's me, Matt Weiss.
Just that little bit. Just that little bit.
The thing is, when I was a kid, that hadn't happened yet.
Yeah.
So playing the violin when I was a kid was not considered cool yet. It was just kind of weird and not really cool.
Yeah.
So I just suffered through that first until when I got into my early adulthood, it suddenly became massively cool.
Because they're like, hey, listen, you're an adult, you got to pay bills. Oh, the
exactly. It's kind of like the whole Dark Night of the Soul thing. You heard of that?
The Dark Knight is that's a writing reference. Look at you. You're just slipping it in right there.
Okay. Well, I thought it came from Jung.
Oh, it might have, but it is also part of the save the cat and the hero's arc, and it's the Dark Knight of
Well,
the
that's
Soul.
Joseph Campbell.
Yeah, the
The
Mr.
hero's
Campbell.
arc.
Yeah.
So the Dark Knight of the Soul, the meaning that before you've become fully realized and enlightened and a full human being, you have to basically hit rock bottom and go through hell, just total darkness of your soul and internal suffering and everything to finally be forced to realize who you really are and what you really care about.
Yeah, marriage.
And then you rise from the ashes like a phoenix. And then after that, you realize, you know what? I went through that, so now nothing can touch me anymore. I'm like invincible.
That's right. That's why the next beat in writing, when you're dealing with the narrative beat, is literally the power within, because you have to get to the moment of despair, reborn, and then you come out and you're like, I can do this, and I will do this.
Exactly.
Do you put that into consideration when you work on your Star Trek scripts? Because you have your show that you do.
Okay. So if you I don't know how much of it you watched, but
watched enough.
Actually, my Star Trek script, the arc of my Star Trek story is actually the spiritual journey of Captain Hardinger.
Okay.
Because he starts out as kind of a villain. So what he is the very first episode, he's above this planet firing down these little photon torpedo things, but they're not photon torpedoes. They're actually tear gas grenades that the Enterprise has been hired to fire upon these protesters on the planet. So it's almost like a mirror type of a deal.
Yeah.
But we're not in the evil universe. We're in the real universe. But we're trying to help because we're cool with the local government, and we're just helping them out by firing these tear gas grenades. Okay, so
it's
right off the bat, that's a bit. Turns out what happened is that Captain Kirk had a nervous breakdown, and he's confined to his quarters by Dr. McCoy. And so Captain Hardinger, who's me, has been assigned to come and take Captain Kirk's place and run the ship in his absence.
Yeah.
And he's a bit of a hard ass because he's got PTSD. He's been through the Battle of Axanar, if you've heard of that.
No, but I am a Star Trek fan, but I'm not a Trekkie, as one might say.
So Axanar is another fan series.
All the shows.
Yeah. There's a million of them now. So there's another big fan series that talks about the Battle of Axanar.
Okay.
So anyway, my fan series overlapped with that one in the sense that my character is a survivor from the Battle of Axanar. I haven't actually told this yet. It's later on. Anyways, he's battle scarred. He's got PTSD. He's a total hard ass. That's why his name is Hardinger. So the crew hates him.
Yeah.
And so they don't want to fire. They don't want to be firing these tear gas grenades down there. Nobody wants to do this.
Yeah.
But he in the opening scene, he's like, okay, folks, I'm in charge. And this is what we're doing. So he starts out as the bad guy. He's cast as sort of an evil character. But as the show progresses, you slowly get to see his human side, and you slowly start to identify with him. You slowly start liking him.
Yeah.
Like so that's the overall arc.
From Suits, Louis Litt. He starts off as the bad guy, and he slowly becomes a good guy. Has a little fallback, though. He trips backwards a little bit and becomes a hard ass again.
Of course, there's one step forward or two steps forward, one step back, another step forward, 3 steps back. It just goes like this. But hopefully you slowly evolve, kind of like the stock market.
Do you approach your Bitcoin purchases? No, do you approach the arc of that character? Like when you first came down, you were just like, hey, I'm going to start with him being evil. I want to work to him being good. But did you kind of know what his arc was going to be, or are you just playing with it each episode?
I have a general idea. Well, for one thing, I've got about 10 episodes in my head, and I've only written 4.
Yeah, it's more than 0.
5.
Yeah.
No, are there 5 episodes? I forget. Anyways, I have a general idea of where it's going and the general characters. But then I don't like to plan it out in infinite detail because that locks me in a straitjacket. I'd rather just kind of go with the flow.
Yeah.
And let things evolve as they're written. And so, like for example,
Go for it. Go for
There's
it.
a
Give us it.
character that shows up in. Okay, where did he show up? God, man, I'm forgetting my own show.
Want me to look it up? No.
Episode 4. No. Episode 3. Duh. Okay. So in episode 3, Captain Hardinger has his own nervous breakdown.
Yeah.
In his quarters. Now, the cool thing is a lot of this show happens in his quarters. So you already get to see, and that, of course, his quarters represent his inner world and everything. And he has not a, people say it's a pet Horta, but that's wrong. He has a companion who's a Horta named Juliet, who's his roommate. She lives in the quarters with him. And so he talks to her and she makes Horta sounds.
They're friends.
You know, and they're able to communicate just by that. Anyhow, and he's got a lava lamp. That lava lamp right over. Can you see that lava lamp?
I cannot see a lava lamp. No, you got some
unfortunate.
books. You got some artwork. You got a.
Yeah.
I see. Oh, there it is.
It's hard to see, but it's
like
there.
reddish orange. Or something?
That reddish thing.
Yeah,
I could bring it over, but I'd probably drop it, and then my lava lamp would have to be replaced. Which is
it's not worth it for the story. Yeah, no,
I'd have to go all the way to Fred Meyer to buy another one. Yeah, for $19.99.
That's a long way, and the only way you could get there really is if you learn how to steer through a wormhole.
Well, there's wormholes in my show. It's not now that you mentioned it.
See,
episode 1, there's a wormhole. Now this is funny because the very first YouTube video I ever did was this YouTube video called Charlie Matthews and the Cosmic Nebula Band.
Okay, that's a great name.
It is a great name. And the thing about it is there's this cosmic nebula, which is this green whirlpool thing that looks kind of like a vortex or kind of like a wormhole. Well, anyways, that was my very first one I ever made. And I got it because I was at this Bumbershoot, I believe, some fair where they sold this little jar of glittery stuff in green that you could shake up and spin around and it would make this cosmic cloud stuff.
Yeah.
So I figured out if I did it like this in a circle, it would make a whirlpool thing. So then I just videotaped it and then added some effects, and that became the Cosmic Nebula of my very first video.
There you go.
And that became the branding of Pranakasha Productions. If you notice, there's this green nebula thing in my branding. That's the Cosmic Nebula.
It's like boom.
So anyways, I had to get that into my Star Trek show. So in the first episode, Spock says something starts happening on the screen, and there's some and I just say something like, "What is that?" And then Spock goes, "It's a cosmic nebula." And then out of that comes a doomsday machine, which attacks us.
Yeah.
And our phasers are useless against it, of course. You know what I'm talking about? That big funnel thing that eats planets.
Yep.
But then what happens is a ship from the Orville comes out and it has way better weapons and it's able to destroy the doomsday machine.
It also has way better writing.
And that's how I meet who starts out as a bit of my nemesis.
Yeah.
But then he ends up being one of my friends. And then it sets up the whole show because the show is not only a Star Trek fan series, it's also an Orville fan series, because in my universe, there's a planet called Orvilla.
Yeah.
And the Orvillians have way better weapons than the Federation because they have this certain thing. In the Federation, they have dilithium crystals, right? That help us tune the warp frequencies and make everything work. Well, the Orvillians have egolithium.
Oh.
Which is a green crystal. It happens to be way better than dilithium crystals.
Yeah.
So one of the story arcs ends up being that Captain Hardinger is like, "Wow, your guys' weapons work way better. What is that?" And it's like, "Well, it's the egolithium." "Well, how can I get some?" "We can't do that. The Union can't let you know all our trade secrets." Yeah. So then it becomes his quest to figure out some way to get some egolithium for the Now the funny thing about this, is that Captain Hardinger is a bit not entirely sane, so he has mental health issues, obviously, from his PTSD. Now, back in the day, they used to call it manic depressive, but now they call it bipolar.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
And so my dad was manic depressive and bipolar, and I have certain tendencies, but I don't go completely off the deep end. But I'm just mostly. I tell everybody, you know what? I'm mostly just manic all the time now. It's sort of fun.
You're just in an extreme on or off.
Right, but there's I'm able to keep it within a box so that it doesn't become totally destructive.
Yeah, where
most people that go manic, truly manic, they just go off the deep end and their entire life falls apart.
Yeah.
Anyways, my dad was in that category. So anyway, back in the day, the only thing you could take for that was lithium carbonate.
Okay. Yeah,
and so dilithium and egolithium is kind of a play on the whole lithium carbonate thing and mental health and all this stuff. It's a reference to that, honestly.
It's nice because then you get to put some of the personal into the fictional, and you get to play with these ideas. Though I'm a little concerned.
I mean, yeah, okay.
You said blue was your favorite color, but you chose to make the wormhole into a green. You had the freedom to blue hole it up.
I could have easily just turned the dial on the color corrector and made that green blue.
I'm just saying.
But for whatever reason, I decided to go with green, and I can't really tell you why now. Because it's all part of my branding now. I can't switch it.
Yeah. It might have been a manic moment where you're just like, forget blue.
I think it's because the bottle was actually a green fluid, so I just went with the original color of it.
That works. I mean, sometimes you got to go with the flow. It's serendipitous, as one might say. You know, where you're not, right? It's
however,
yeah.
You're familiar with the chakras, right?
Chakras, the ones that go down your centers. Yeah.
So it turns out the heart chakra is green.
Is green, yeah.
Plus green is the color of nature. And Kermit the Frog and all these things. So there's a lot of important symbolism with the color green. So that's where we're going. But notice this is blue.
That is blue.
But wait.
You can make it green. Oh, red. Because it's muted.
The problem is when it turns red, you can't hear what I'm saying. When it's blue, you can.
My other buddy has the same one, and he's always like, every time he stops talking, he hits it. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, well, I don't want you to hear me breathing. I'm like, how heavy of a breather are you where that microphone would be picking it up? Now, you mentioned the Orville and you mentioned the Star Trek, and I said, well, Orville has better writing. I think Orville has turned into a way better show, mostly because I feel it starts off as a comedy, and then you realize very quickly it's not a comedy. It's just has funny moments, and it's,
like we need no longer fear the banana. I have a T-shirt that says that.
It's funny.
So,
so I'm sure you've seen Strange New Worlds, or is that what it's called? Strange New Worlds?
Yeah, sure have.
Yeah, that's.
So I have to admit, though, I have not made it through the current season.
Oh, the newest one. The new one's.
Yeah, because it doesn't have the poll.
Why not?
The quality of the writing kind of let me down in the latest season, so I lost interest. But I'm hoping they're going to bounce back.
Looking at let's say the first two seasons, right? Like Spock, the guy who plays Spock, I think does a very good job because he's a younger Spock. You know.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, give it to me.
He happens to play the cello, and I met him in Star Trek Las Vegas in the vendor room.
Yeah,
and I ended up playing the cello next to him while he signed people's autographs.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, so now I can say that me and him are buddies.
Yeah, that sounds logical. It's just it's a logical progression from. Now, does he talk like
he's also pure muscle, by the way. He's like 6 feet tall. When you hug him, you're like, dude, you're like built.
Yeah,
but it's interesting that he's so physically tough. Yet he's like a teddy bear. His real personality is just very sweet and very loving, like this little teddy bear, you know? Yeah. It really comes through with his Spock character too, but that's actually his real personality too.
See, I agree. So, yeah, it definitely shows in his performance. And I hope they actually think about him for the movies, you know, because they're looking to redo the movies, to reboot the movies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Now, when you approach
like Zachary Quinto was awfully good, you have to admit.
He was. He has a couple of personal issues that maybe influence his coming back. But other than that, he was a very good Spock. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Leonard Nimoy will always be Spock, but at
This
the
is
same
true.
time, going back to the writing process, do you take into consideration the full mythos of Star Trek, or do you like allow yourself to have a lot of leeway, a lot of playroom when it comes to getting those episodes read?
Mythos? I've never heard that word before.
The world, like everything that has to come with.
I thought it's
Star Trek.
ethos.
Could be ethos. Let's go with ethos.
Mythology. I see what you're saying. Mythos as a mythology.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, you'll notice that my show has Star Trek at the core, but anything goes. Like I have an episode that's The Matrix. I have 2 episodes that are The Matrix, basically.
Is it The Matrix, the good version, or the new one they made where it's about a video game?
It takes mostly stuff from the original movie and then the second one. And so there's that. I throw in The Matrix. There's some clips. I really want to get Gilligan's Island in there somehow. But like I also have classic Mission Impossible in the latest episode. And what else? Star Wars is in there for sure. So is the Orville. What else? I even threw something in from Crocodile Dundee.
That's not a knife.
And 2001 Space Odyssey's in there. A Few Good Men. Mm-hmm. Basically, if I can figure out some weird way to tie in any old random thing that somehow has some connection to it, I'll pull it in.
So basically what you're saying is you're just having some fun with it.
Exactly. Okay, so here's the deal. This is what's going on. So I watched Star Trek for the first time when I was in 3rd grade. I was 8 years old.
Okay.
After school, about 3 o'clock, I would come home, and every day it would be on reruns. So in the course of my 3rd grade career, I managed to watch basically the entire season.
Of the original.
5 days a week. The original. So then throughout my childhood and teen years and everything, I would daydream about Star Trek and Star Wars all the time. So my show now is basically just me daydreaming, but I'm writing it down and making it happen. So it still has that same dream-like stream of consciousness type of thing where there's all these crazy sort of random stuff that's happening. So, some people watch the show and they're like, what the hell is going on? I can't deal with this. But then other people will watch it and go, oh my God, this guy's a genius. Like the way he connected that and that, and it's like, oh man. I've even got Game of Thrones in it, by the way.
Look, sometimes you have to have a dragon here and there.
Yeah. Oh, there's a dragon.
Yeah.
We got the dragon lady too.
You got Daenerys in there?
Daenerys is in it, of course. And then we even have Mr. Snow.
Okay, the John of the Snow. Excellent. You got to have fun with it, or what's the whole point? Now, so when you approach it though, are you just writing whatever you want to write, or are you thinking about the movement of a narrative in a sense of like, hey, I got to set this up, I got to create the inciting incident, I got to have the point of no return, I got to ultimately have a midpoint conflict that changes everything, creates the truth of the lie that is revealed. Do you think of these rhythms?
No, it's not that formulaic. So like I was saying, so I don't consciously design it that way.
Yeah.
But I've watched so many shows that it's all in my subconscious. So those frameworks are still coming through just because I'm absorbing them from everything else I've ever experienced, right? And I have ideas of where I want things to go and who I want to meet. So, for example, that's what I was going to get at. So, in episode 3, Captain Hardinger has a mental breakdown, and he starts get on his knees and starts praying to God for once. His dad was really religious, but he really wasn't. But now he's like, you know what? I'm hitting rock bottom, so I might as well just pray for God. So what happens? This godlike being shows up.
Q.
Well, we don't see the beauty of this. Is this a godlike being? But I do not reveal whether this really is God or not. And that's one of the story arcs, is this godlike being starts to become his companion and keeps showing up all the time.
Yeah.
In various forms. And we never know, is it really God or is it Q? But the thing that's so fun about it is that now I can explore religion and everything because I can explore people's expectations of what God is really like and what he should be like if you actually met him.
Yeah. Like
So
if you
it's
like
really fun.
Parcheesi, you're like,
In
boom, here he is.
fact, what I did was I even pulled in clips from the Mahabharata.
Mm-hmm.
In India, there was this TV show based on the Mahabharata, which is this gigantic, long, epic poem scripture from which the Bhagavad Gita and Krishna and everybody emerges. Anyways, there was this TV show that was so popular that like the entire country would stop once a week and go watch this show.
Okay.
And I watched the whole thing. I bought the DVD set and watched it. And anyways, I started using clips from that even in my Star Trek show. So
now, if anyone doesn't know though, your show is not like a filmed show where it's like sets and everything. It's more of a almost like a radio play, but you guys are on camera, but it's ultimately a radio play when you guys do it, right?
I think
No.
you're talking that show you're talking about is Adam's Radio Hour, which is a radio play.
Oh, okay.
But my Star Trek fan series is I do it all with green screens. Basically, what I do is I use green screens and clips from all kinds of stuff, and then I edit us in and interact with the clips, and then figure out a way to make it all work and tell this kind of crazy story. Yeah. Anyways, that's the Egotastic Star Trek show we're talking about.
Oh, okay, all right. Boom,
now
boom.
the other show, Adam's Radio Hours, like you said, is a radio show basically. And and for a large part of the show, you're just staring at an old style radio while you're listening to people talk.
But it's just conversation on that show, isn't it?
No, well, it started out that way because ultimately the show became exactly what I wanted it to be, which is a bunch of really talented voice actors reading scripts.
Yeah.
As a radio show.
Your scripts or just random scripts?
Well, it turns out that a friend of mine and a friend of his wrote a ton of short stories and a bunch of folklore type of stuff. So I encouraged them to rewrite them as radio plays. And so that's what we've been using as our scripts. And it's working really well. In fact, they also play characters in it too.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so it's really fun.
When you approach these scripts, what are you learning as a writer, as somebody who wants to tell stories by reading these scripts? And I'm assuming you break them down a little bit because if you're performing or acting, you want to at least know what you're going to be, how you're going to approach it, right? So what is it you're taking from these?
You would think, right? But you know how we do it?
I mean,
the way it works is Burke and or Garrett send me a script, and then I send it out the day we're doing the show.
Okay.
So we do the scripts cold. Yeah. And we've gotten to the point where we do them on one take.
Oh,
so fun. We don't even do a second take. What we do is if somebody flubs a line, they just immediately re-say their line, and then I just edit it out.
Yeah, because they're not technically on screen. It's just
right. Yeah, because what I do is this is how we do it now. I think you watched one of the early ones, which was just all talking.
Yeah.
But in the later ones, what we finally started doing is we do an intro. Then we introduce ourselves, and then we immediately launch into the final product, which is the edited script of that week. And then after that, that's when the camera comes back. And during that, you're just looking at a radio.
Yeah.
And then after that, the camera comes back and you see everybody. And then we just kind of talk about whatever for another 10 or 20 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. So, that I saw because I saw you guys on screen. So when the videos I watched, you guys were on. It was like four people or something like that, 4 or 5 people.
Yeah, I think we're up to 6 now.
6, yeah. But
it took several episodes for us to finally get to that point. Because the first couple episodes was us like, well, what are we going to do? I mean, I don't know. Maybe we'll do that, whatever. But the thing was, the people were creative enough, and we could just bullshit on screen, and it was actually entertaining. So we just did it. You know, there's several of us that can just like free associate, and so whatever, we just go on tangents. We could talk for 10 hours straight, you know.
Yeah,
and it would still have to be interesting.
Are you finding that the conversations are becoming more entertaining than the actual scripts? I can't answer that.
The very last episode, yes, I was like, we don't even need a script right now. We're just freewheeling, and it's really good.
Yeah.
Well, they're just two different things.
Mm-hmm.
Because YouTube, people do love to just go watch some YouTube channel where people just sit there and talk.
Yeah, they chit in the chat. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're doing it right now.
Like what we're doing right now. And it's nice because we can get a 1 or 2 hour show in 1 or 2 hours rather than a month having to write the script and set everything up and all that.
Now, did any of the other readers, the voiceover actors, as you said, they're very good, right? Did any of them go, could I get at least 2 days to look at this thing? Because I want to come in and I want to prep. And you're like, well, then I don't want you involved.
No, everybody likes just doing it cold.
Yeah. That should be fun, though. It's something to do.
Okay. One thing is, though, the two writers, they know the scripts way ahead of time. And a lot of times they'll play roles, so they get to prepare since it's their script. But the rest of us we just go for it.
Just go for it. Yeah. I mean, when I used to write for television, stuff like that, that's what we would just read cold. And you're not trying to get like the greatest performance. But if you have actors, they can still do something with it cold. And that's always a nice kind of bonus to the material.
All right, give me a line and see what I can do here.
Well, from something I wrote?
Yeah,
I don't have a photographic memory like that.
All right.
What are you talking about? Let me tell you, 2 households, both alike in dignity, in fair Verona, where we lay our scene, from ancient grudge to new mutiny.
Well, then this guy came from down under, and he said, "Where's my crocodile juice, mate?"
You don't think that line is has anything to it though?
Yeah,
a little bit. Two households, both alike in dignity, fair Verona.
There you go.
Yeah. To be or not to be, whether it is nobler in the eyes of
to be or not to be.
To be or not to be.
That
Everyone
is
says
the
it like
question.
that. Why do they do that? He's supposed to be considering death, and people always like to be or not to be, and you're like, with depression, that's not how it sounds.
It should be like to be or not to be. That's the question, man. I don't know which one I'm gonna do, but to be.
So you're not an actor, no?
I'm kind of late to the game, though. I'll admit, I do take acting lessons now, so I have a bit of training, but I've never acted in a play. Like for me, the idea of memorizing an entire play, it sounds impossible. Like I couldn't do that. Like even in my show where I'm like when I act in my show, Star Trek show with the script that I wrote, I still have to have all my lines and cue cards off the camera because I immediately forget my lines, even though I wrote them.
Yeah.
So apparently, Marlon Brando was like that a bit in the end.
Towards the end,
yeah.
Well, not even towards the end. Godfather, he was doing it already. Duvall had to hang the cue cards on his chest, but to be fair, Courtney Cox from Friends, she used to write the script onto the tables or like the furniture, or she lived with. It's not uncommon. I had to learn Hamlet. I was Hamlet, and I had to learn.
So you did do that line.
Yes.
Okay, let's hear how it's properly done then.
I don't have the only thing I have memorized is the beginning, where it's to be or not to be, whether it is nobler in the minds of the thing, right?
With so proper inflection. All right. Well, I have a bit of Shakespeare in me. Can I do my Shakespeare then?
Yeah. Let me hear your Shakespeare. Let's see your Shakespeare.
This was my very first acting lesson.
Yeah.
I took acting lessons from Robert Beltran for a while, by the way.
Okay. All right.
Chicote.
Nice little name drop there. Name drop.
Yeah. Got a name drop there. Okay, so I've name dropped Alice in Chains. Okay, Robert Beltran. I also play in Tim Russ's band occasionally.
Yeah, I feel like we need the bell. From what's that show? The Star Trek show, where every time they name somebody, they hit it like a bell. They're like,
Oh, wait a minute.
Did you do that?
In fact, check this out.
There you go. Wait. Perfect. Oh, look at that. You got a little reverb on
that. There. It sounded more like a horda than a bell.
No.
Okay, what were we talking about?
You were saying that you took some acting lessons.
Oh, yeah.
And Shakespeare was your big first.
Shylock is my guy. All right, here we go. Senor Antonio, many a time and often the Rialto, you've rated me about my monies and my usances. Still, have I borne it with a patient shrug, for sufferance is the badge of all our tribe. You call me misbeliever, cutthroat, dog, and spit upon my Jewish gabardine, and offer use of that which is mine own. Well then, it now appears you need my help. You come to me and you say, Shylock, we would have monies. You say so. You that did void your room upon my beard, and foot me as you spurn a stranger cur over your threshold. Monies is your suit. So, what shall I say to you? Shall I not say, hath a dog money? Is it possible a cur can lend 3,000 ducats? Or shall I bend low, and in a bondsman's key with bated breath and whispering humbleness say this? Fair sir, you spat on me Wednesday last. You spurned me such a day. Another time, you called me dog. And for these courtesies, I'll lend you thus much monies.
There you go. Hey. Very good.
Now that took 3 years of blood, sweat, and tears to get to that point.
Excellent, excellent. Now, did you break that down? Were you hey, I need to know what I'm saying here?
Like the whole Shakespeare deal, where you figure out all the positives and negatives and all the things and everything to emphasize and yada yada yada.
Nice, yeah, nice. Now, are you trying to still act? Is this something you're pursuing, or you were just like, I just wanted to learn to act?
What I want to do, I want to do it on my YouTube channel. At some point, I wanted to do a Star Trek Shakespeare, where you would do Shakespeare, but you'd be dressed up like Star Trek, but you'd say all the Shakespeare lines and everything. But instead of shooting arrows, you'd have a phaser or whatever. And honestly, that monologue, I want to work into my Star Trek fan series where I have Captain Hardinger do that monologue. Like, did you see that one episode where they're talking about Kodos, the executioner?
In your
original series.
Oh, the original series. I've seen every episode, but again, I was like 12.
So there's one, I'm sure you remember, this acting troupe comes to the Enterprise, and they're like Shakespearean actors, and they do a show for the crew, but it turns out that the main character is in fact this executioner, this guy who is in charge of massacring all these people on this planet. But he had escaped, and he assumed a new identity and became this actor. But the whole story is they figure out that he's really that dude.
But he's
really Kodos, the executioner.
Wait, didn't they also talk about that in Strange New Worlds, right?
They probably did a rehash of it.
Yeah, they totally did.
Strange New Worlds recycled a bunch of original stories.
Well, yeah, because it's supposed to be before Star Trek even happens.
Yeah.
Before the original series happens. They're supposed to be doing Captain Kirk. They're supposed to keep the show going, but with him as the captain, and that might be interesting.
Problem is the actor that they picked to be Captain Kirk is too skinny.
He like skinny when he was younger?
No, he wasn't. He always had some baby fat on him.
A little bit.
William Shatner's always had baby fat.
Yeah, and he was a Shakespearean actor, by the way. Too. What?
Have you watched Boston Legal, by the way?
I have, yes, but I watched it with oh yeah, no, he was always in it. The guy who was in Blacklist. Yeah, the name's not popping up in my head. He was in 16 Candles, and he was Ultron and Avengers 2. Why can't I think of his name? What's his name? The guy. You don't know? Blacklist show. Oh, there it is. I got it. Don't you worry. James Spader. James
Yeah, James
Spader's.
Spader. Honestly, I when I started watching Boston Legal, I thought William Shatner was going to be the main focus of the show, but
Yeah.
honestly, James Spader is, and William Shatner is sort of a tangential kind of comedy figure. Of
Yeah.
course, their relationship is huge in the show. They always get out on the balcony and smoke their cigars, and then sort of do a recap of life.
Yeah.
Which is really good.
It's a
It
good
was
show.
also great when Candace Bergman shows up. Female power.
You need some of that, you know. If you don't
Yeah.
have any female power. Now, all right. So if I'm remembering correctly, the Star Trek thing you do is just you. It's just you and a green screen.
It started out as just me, but then as it evolved, I started pulling in other actors. So at first, the first episode there was another character in it. There was JP, who's a big time fan of the Orville.
But did
Justin
you guys
Poole,
have
JP.
girl characters and dress up as girl characters as well, as it was just guy characters?
No, we haven't done any cross dressing, have we?
You know, like the old day Shakespeare's. That's what would happen. They would dress up like men and women, and they would.
Let me think about this. No. However, this is a bit of a spoiler.
You'll be fine.
When the godlike character shows up in episode 3,
yeah,
Captain Hardinger is like, well, how come you're a girl? You know, where's your big muscles and a beard? And then one of the lines is, then the girl god says, well, I transitioned. Besides, guys are such idiots. So
trying to get some ratings.
You quickly learn that God can take any form. So when God shows up the next time, is a man that plays classical guitar really good.
Yeah.
And then so on.
Now, who do you get to play the classical guitar? I mean,
well, it just so happens I know a guy in Seattle who's a kick-ass classical guitar player, and I convinced him to come into my house and sit in my green screen and play that character, green screen room. And of course, actually play the guitar.
Yeah.
Because my show is okay. This is what I tell everyone.
And go for it.
My show is part Star Trek, part comic book, part Elvis movie.
Yeah. You had me at Elvis movie.
Yeah, because Captain Hardinger carries cello around with him everywhere.
Yeah.
That's how I became the Star Trek cello guy. I forgot to tell you that part. Captain Hardinger, the guy that I play, carries a cello with him everywhere, like a security blanket.
Like even in the bathroom, he's like, "Give me a moment."
It's everywhere. And then he actually plays it sometimes.
Yeah.
And then what I do is I bring in every other character is some kind of musician. So God plays the classical guitar, and then even JP, Captain JT Powell plays guitar. That was a fun scene to do because we totally improv'd it.
Yeah.
He just made up this thing on guitar and then made up a song right there, the Orville song.
Yeah.
That became the Orville song. We just did it right then.
That's funny.
I think I told him, you know what I want you to do? Do some kind of weird flamenco guitar thing and make up some kind of a song. And so we just did it.
Was he singing?
Honestly, man, if you saw the outtakes and the blooper reels of all the green screen shots we did, they're hilarious. I mean, that would be almost as good as the show itself because we're just bullshitting.
Yeah.
And he's another guy that can do a whole bunch of characters. So okay, now we're circling back. Sorry, this is getting a bit chaotic.
Circle back. Let's see what happens.
Back to Adam's Radio Hour for a moment.
Yeah.
The reason why I created Adam's Radio Hour and the reason why I call it Adam's Radio Hour is because my friend Adam Sartain is an extremely talented voice actor. He can do like 100 different voices.
Woo!
So I was like, he can practically do the entire show himself.
Yeah.
In fact, the episode that we just taped last week, he was the narrator, this devil character, and then this kind of mechanic dude. And the voices were completely different. You had no idea it was the same guy doing it.
Yeah.
But he was. So I have him as the core, and then the rest of us kind of orbit around him and do fun type stuff. Like I get to do a recurring character in that show. It's like Captain Hardinger is kind of tough. He's like, fire the photon torpedoes. Yeah. Like that. He's tough. He's battle hardened. But this character that I do, Randall, in the in the Adams Radio Hour, he's like, I can feel the vibrations of your chakras emanating through the ether. so, so I get to play that character all the time on that show.
The real ladies' man.
Yeah. Can I please have a cappuccino with soy milk?
Need a cappuccino.
If you don't mind.
How's that book going?
That book. I wish they could increase the font. I prefer Arial in my books. James Roman is just too much.
When are you going to get Optimus Prime on the show?
Optimus Prime. Okay, so now we got to do Transformers.
That's right.
It seems to me I got some reference somewhere in there.
You could do it.
It wouldn't be hard. I just grab a clip and work it in.
Yeah, just get him in. Get Peter, but you got to get Peter to do it. You know, maybe you can find. He's not really working much. So you know.
I do have Baby Yoda in there. Grogu.
Grogu, not actually.
I like to call him Baby Yoda. I mean, people get mad and say he's supposed to be Grogu, but he's always going to be Baby Yoda to me.
Yeah, he's Baby Yoda because there's not supposed to be other ones around. He was supposed to be like one of the last of his kind. But now, when you watch the prequels, there's a girlfriend, and now there's the little baby. You know.
I mean, Yodas have sex?
I mean, most likely. That's how the procreation works, you know, because you have to have the gametes of even flowers have the, you know. Right?
I thought there was just this kind of pterodactyl type of stork thing that dropped them off.
It depends. And sometimes they play some music and it's like, wow, wow, we're going to get busy.
Yeah. Okay, that's more like it. So,
yeah, there you go. I mean, look, hey, you got a couple of shows going on. You play cello, you play a little bit of violin. Your favorite color is blue. We're learning a lot on this show.
We are learning a lot.
You know,
we haven't gotten into sexuality yet.
Not yet. I mean,
what kind of show is this? Are we allowed to go into those type of subjects?
You can. We could write it in. Worst case scenario, you know, we just play with it a little bit until it grows. You know, we get it. You know,
well, growth is good, especially when you're over 50.
I mean, I wouldn't know. My back goes out every time I start getting excited. That's where I'm at. I'm like, she looks nice.
I'm a strong man.
That's right. Give me 15 minutes to warm up.
Big and strong.
Yeah.
Look, as long as I take my pills in the morning, everything's good.
Like I tell people, I work out every day. I do one sit up to get out of bed. And if I can't do that, I do one roll off.
Yeah.
That's it. I don't need to.
And don't forget the part where you actually get off the floor. Is that a push up?
No, I just kind of worm out, you know, like that.
Oh, the worm out.
Yeah. Just whatever I can. I get my core in.
I prefer worm out yoga. Some people do Pilates, but I like the worm out. In fact, you know what?
Do you do the?
I almost touched my toes this morning. I had to bend my knees slightly.
I mean, look, I can touch my toes because I had them amputated and they sit on my desk, and I just did my digits.
Oh,
yeah, it was a terrible, terrible time. I don't recommend crocheting.
Look, you can do some kind of Bluetooth connection to remotely control them, and everything's fine.
Yeah, yeah. We tiptoe around that. I don't want to really get too into something's afoot, as if you know what I mean. I feel I nailed that one.
All right, yeah. Moving on. Did you notice that I have the number 42?
I did. I thought you were trying to tell me how old I was.
Presidents.
Who?
This is, in fact, it even says life, universe,
and everything. Isn't 42 the Obama?
I don't know.
Who's
42 is the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Oh, that's right, number 42. Yeah, but the Dolphins, the Dolphins know that better than we do.
Yeah, it's either the Dolphins or the squirrels. The world. I'm thinking squirrels, honestly.
Yeah, but aren't the dolphins the smartest creatures in the world or something like that?
That's what everybody thinks, but the squirrels actually are the ones remotely controlling them.
Oh, well,
because the squirrels and the dolphin brains work in the little levers.
Is that in the book? Is that in the book?
We're gonna
am I missing something?
I'm gonna tell you something. Everybody thinks the books are not the foundation of the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. The bedrock of the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is a radio show from the 70s. The books were written after it.
Yeah, well, only the shadow knows what evil lurks in the minds of
Douglas Adams.
the man.
God
Now,
rest his soul.
that guy's dead.
I know.
Did
That's why we're
you
asking God to rest his soul.
Yes, but is God Q? That's the question.
No, God is not Q.
It's not Q.
No, Q is just a sub deity way down there.
No, well, Q is actually isn't he a collection? He's a collection.
There's a Q-tinuum.
The Q-tinuum.
The Q's part of.
Correct.
I think he's related to Trelane. I think he's a Trelanian.
But he got kicked out of the Q collective. There was you remember that episode?
Okay, speaking of Q, the actor. Oops, sorry, I did that. John Delancey was on the Star Trek cruise that I was on in February.
Yeah,
he's actually a rather high class individual
and tall.
In fact, his dad was the dean, I believe, or the president, or whatever you call it, of Curtis Institute of Music.
Interesting.
So he invites musicians from Curtis,
to
come onto the ship and play Star Trek music.
Did he ask?
And he also gives a whole presentation about the whole history of the Curtis Institute of Music.
Interesting. And you were like, "I can play the cello, sir."
Yeah. Well, since I carry the cello around everywhere on the ship, people know me as the Star Trek cello guy.
Yeah, but you could also
part of this. Okay, so the reason why I went for cello,
is
because if I carried a violin around, nobody would care.
Yeah.
But if I carry a cello, they're like, "Why in the hell is this guy carrying this cello everywhere?"
You could be the
so then around, and then they're like, "Well, it's Star Trek cello guy."
Yeah.
So then it's perfect branding. It works great.
Yeah,
especially since I can actually play it. And then I'll like park myself in one of the bars on the ship and just start playing background music, and everybody like, "Oh, that's so beautiful."
That guy reminds me of the Star Trek cello guy.
Yeah,
that's what they do. Now, do you take that thing to the restaurants?
Now, what's that?
Do you take it to the restaurants and stuff when you go there?
I did not this year. The previous year, I actually played it in the dining area where we have a buffet. I would play.
No, I'm talking about like just around Seattle. Like, do you walk around with the cello and like random, like you'll go to Dunkin' Donuts or something and you'll just be like, "Give me a coffee and 2 donuts," but you have the cello with you. That's what I'm saying. Are you known as the because I had a friend who took his guitar everywhere. He was the acoustic guy,
yeah.
And he never worked for him for the girls though, because
well, the Star Trek cello guy is a pretty good chick maggot, I'll have to say, at least on the boat.
I mean,
you know how? Okay, here you go.
All right,
you know how typically in the normal world, a guy goes to a bar and there's going to be a pretty girl sitting at the bar, and the guy has to go up and sit next to her and come up for some reason why he has to talk to her. The guy has to do it, right?
Yeah.
Well, on the Star Trek cello guy Star Trek cruise, I can sit at a bar and a pretty girl will come up and want to talk to me simply by the fact that I'm the Star Trek cello guy.
Because you have a cello.
It works.
Yeah, but are they there because they want to hear the Star Trek cello guy play, or are they there because they're like, "I heard,
Well, they seem to be wanting to talk to me.
See, when I used to play,
and
music,
one of them even invited me to her room, and I accepted. But I will say it was purely rated G. Nothing sinful happened.
Yeah,
but I did at least get invited to her room, and I got to see what her room was like.
And you were like, "This is but how big are the rooms in these boats? Are they big enough?"
I mean, this room, that room, they had 4 people crammed into this tiny little cabin.
4 people.
So
how many beds do they have?
4. There were 2 bunk beds.
Oh, all right. Well, yeah, because it's a cabin.
I didn't know they had cabins like that because mine has 2 non-bunk beds. So yeah.
Oh, you had a double bed, so your cello could be on one bed and you get one bed.
Except for the fact that I had a roommate.
Well, were they upset that they had to sleep on the floor?
Well, okay.
The cello needed the bed.
We had this discussion, actually. I'm like, either this was before I figured out that the bed could be split into 2. I thought it was just one big bed. I'm like, either we can sleep on the bed and the cello can be on the couch, or I'll sleep on the couch and you can sleep with the cello on the bed. So in the end, we discovered there was a third option, which was the best, which is we could just split the bed into two, and we each had our own bed, and the cello could be on the couch.
Now, how often did the cello complain that they lost out on the bed option?
My cello was not the complaining Karen type of cellos. Mine has a bit of respect and dignity.
Yeah. It's a high class. So, it's like I'm on a cruise. What am I going to complain about?
It doesn't complain. It just subtly insinuates.
Those beds look comfortable.
They are. Especially, I have a nice room that has a tiny little balcony.
Yeah.
But a sliding glass door, so you can see the moon and the stars and stuff wafting through.
Oh, that's nice. Plus
at
the
nighttime,
ocean.
It's quite beautiful, actually.
So you do this? Is this like a yearly thing you get to do? You go there?
I've done it 3 years in a row, and I signed up for next year too.
So you have to sign up to get on there, or you're going on as guests, or you're going on as entertainment? Like you're a part of the event, or you're just sort of?
I'm sort of in between because I act like I'm sort of a wannabe Star Trek known person.
Yeah.
But I still have to pay just like everyone else does.
Oh,
so now, I'm not getting a free ride, that's for sure.
It's not like a swingers cruise where it's just complete. Everybody's leaving with something.
Well, there's a lot of. Let me tell you this. There's a live band that's super good.
Yeah,
and I swear to you, they know like 200 songs and they can nail them all.
It's the same band every year.
Far? Band 57, I think is what it's called. And then there's a lot of karaoke and dancing type of stuff and party type of stuff. So there's a lot of opportunity for interacting with the guests.
Yeah, mostly to play Parcheesi or sex. Now, when it comes to...
They have shuffleboard. I didn't see Parcheesi on the boat. Maybe in one little dark corner there might be. They also have chess. They do have a giant chessboard on the deck that you can play.
Oh, that's cool. That's always fun.
And, okay, so... one of my friends that I met on this cruise asked me to play chess with her on the deck the very last night. And now, ever since then, we've played chess online every single day.
There you go. That's the way to make friends.
Chess.com.
You show them your chess, they show them your chess.
Right.
So
I'll show you my queen if you show you your queen.
That's right. That's right. You got a lot of rooks on your board.
Baby.
Fun fact, chess was invented by the in India. Did you know that?
Well, whatever.
No, sometimes look on Thursdays. You got to understand it gets complicated. No, chess was invented by India, and it was a way they interacted with other foreign entities as a gift, and it eventually evolved and ultimately became something else. And that's why
it had a different name. I forgot what it used to be called.
It did have a different name.
A little bit from what the original.
It evolved a lot, especially if you watch Star Trek. They got like the 7D. I have a question about the boats, though.
7D. It's not 7D.
It's 5D.
3D.
3D. Oh yeah.
I mean, nowadays you hear people talking about 4D chess, but that's sort of a Star Trek reference because in Star Trek it was 3D chess because it had like different levels.
Well, 4D,
but it was still within 3 dimensions.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, it depends on the dimension. This is my question on the boats. How many storms did you experience while on the boats over the last 3 years? And did you get to see one of the big waves that they always show in movies that makes me not want to go on one of those boats?
Okay, this was a Caribbean cruise, so it went from Florida, toured around the Caribbean, and then maybe would stop in Mexico and come back. And it was in February. So there was no hurricanes. So there was no giant waves. There were a few times where it rained a lot, but there was nothing that was anywhere close to a storm. In my opinion,
so it was pretty smooth sailing.
Some days you'd be amazed how smooth the water was. It was like almost no waves at all.
Wow. And it's the ocean, so people would, that's the thing. Like Atlantic it's not always doing the wave, and it's usually flat, right?
It's a really nice cruise. That's why what happens is it sells out really fast.
Yeah.
So there's lots and lots of people that are repeat customers every year.
And what
like going to summer camp now, because every year you go back and see all your friends.
Which is the fun part, Is it like Comic-Con where they like this is the day the tickets are going to go on sale and you got to like be in a raffle? It's first
What
come, first
happens
served.
is most people will buy their tickets on the boat for the next year, so everything will be sold out, will be pre-sold, and then a particular day they open up tickets for everybody, and like it opens up at 10 a.m. and if you get there by noon, they're sold out.
Wow.
So you got to buy them online, yeah.
And this is a Star Trek cruise.
It certainly is.
Wow. That's awesome though, because
It's
like
really
people
fun.
need community. They like kind of like gather together. Do you dress up? Does everyone dress
Yep.
up for it?
Yeah. There's lots of chances. Some people will be in Star Trek uniform cosplay the entire time, but most people will wear kind of normal clothes like half the time, and then just dress up for events and stuff like that.
Interesting.
But the other really cool thing is they have some makeup artists from the show.
Oh, that's cool.
That will make you up really well.
Yeah.
Like put Spock ears on you, or they have people that look like a Ferengi, exactly like the show.
Who dresses up like
well
Klingons?
Who's those Klingons, of course.
You have to have the Klingons. Now, what's your favorite when you are thinking of dressing up? What is your go-to costume? Where you're like, if I could go all in, this is the costume I would go with.
Well, lately I've been doing the evil Kirk from the Mirror Universe.
Okay.
Probably because that outfit is sleeveless, and when I don't have sleeves, I get to show off my tattoo.
Oh, there it is! Look at that, Pisces.
Yeah. So
I'm assuming you're a Pisces.
No.
Isn't that the Pisces, or is that Jesus?
Man, dude,
is that Jesus?
Okay.
The fish, not the emblem.
We have
I know
Star
what that
Trek,
is.
right?
I know.
Yeah,
that's
Jesus fish. Now
that's
we're getting into religion. I could go for 3 hours on the religion part. The short version is, I would rather celebrate Jesus's life rather than his death.
Okay,
that's why my symbol is the fish that came before. It was quite a while before they started using the cross.
Interesting. Oh, the upside down cross on the but that's supposed to be a star, isn't it?
What are you talking about?
On the Star Trek emblem, the Starfleet.
There's no cross in there. That's a delta.
Oh, that's I see. Oh, look at that.
But notice there's some numbers here that say, it's hard to see, but
is that Exodus 22? What is it?
It says 2236. It's not Exodus.
Oh, that's what book is that from? Because I know 23 11 or 23. What is it? 23:1 is God walks among man, and it's 20. Yeah. Oh no, it's 21:3.
I'm going to give you a hint.
I don't know what that is. I'm telling you what 21:3 is.
Okay, what's my name?
Are we doing a sex thing here? What's my name?
No, I'm not asking for a safe word. I'm asking for a name.
Say my name, bitch. It's Matt Weiss, Star Trek Cello Guy.
Right. So Matthew 2236.
Oh yeah, all right. Matthew,
would you care to look it up?
I love
the internet at your fingertips.
All I know is that in the book of Matthew, Jesus tricked Peter to drown, and he's like, "You can walk on water, Peter." And Peter got out of the boat and he fell in the water, and Jesus is like, now you owe me, buddy," and he helped him out of the water.
That's not quite right.
Peter
did not fall into the water until he lost his faith. For a while, he was walking on it.
He was doubting it.
It's just like trying to fly in a dream.
What is it? Matthew 22.
Matthew 22:36.
Oh, 36. Yeah.
That must be important. Otherwise, I wouldn't have put it on my arm.
Let's see. It says, depending on the context, here it is. Teacher, which is the greatest commandment in the law? Is that accurate? It's more. Oh, Jesus replied, love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. That's all that's on you. I got to read the whole thing. I got to find the whole thing.
That's the essence of Christianity.
Oh, I see.
As far as I'm concerned.
Oh,
according to the Matt Weiss Church of Christ, that's going to be like our founding principle right there. Love for God and love for your fellow human being. If you can do that, you're all good.
Yeah, but also if you love thy neighbor, you get in trouble.
Okay, now we're going to get into it.
No, I just say it. If you love your neighbor.
Okay, there was the next thing that he says right after that is he says, these are the two most important commandments. all the laws and all the scriptures and all the saints hang
Yeah.
upon these two.
Well, what I want to know is what was on the original 10 commandments before he smashed them onto the bull, because everybody was dancing around.
Neither of these 2 commandments are part of the 10 commandments.
Well, yeah, these are outside commandments.
Right, because there's like 600 and something commandments, actually.
There's a lot. I present to you these 15.
May I ask you a quick question?
Yeah, go ahead. Give it to me.
If you were to identify with a particular religious sect, what would yours be?
Well, as per my faith, I'm actually not allowed to tell anybody what my faith is, because it could mislead them to either find their way to it or mislead them to find their way away from it. And the purpose is actually for you to discover the faith. So I cannot influence you. Your path in life, the things you choose to do, should lead you there. I cannot have influence on that. So technically,
so you're a Zoroastrian.
I always tell people, if you could tell me what I am and you're right, I will agree.
I'm guessing that you're Jewish. Okay.
I love that you say that, but that is not accurate, because Jewish people can tell people they're Jewish.
So not.
I am not Jewish. No, I told you,
because you have sort of you kind of have that sound. You could certainly play a Jewish person in a show.
I used to get comedy gigs all the time because they were like, it was a Jewish show. They're like, hey, it's a Jewish show. I go, I'm not Jewish. They go, yeah, you are. What's your Hebrew name? I go, it's not. I'm not. And they go, you're Jewish. And they would put me on these shows all the time to do comedy. And I'm like, I'm Sicilian. As Sicilian as
Sicilian.
You could get. I mean, yeah. Parlo italiano, per favore. Sucre molto grande, tale mi piace. Buono monte.
But you lived in New York for a while, right? Because you have that New York kind of a sound.
Yeah, my dad was from Queens, my mom from Brooklyn. I grew up on Long Island and then grew up in Brooklyn. But my grandparents are Italian.
And you never got cast to be on Seinfeld?
No, it was over by the time I was into the acting.
Well,
but I've been on Saturday Night Live. No, I did Saturday Night Live. I did a couple other things.
Okay.
But what was I saying? Oh, the religious stuff, the Jewish stuff.
Right.
My brother is a rabbi, but I am not Jewish.
I knew it was in there somewhere.
But he chose to become a rabbi for malicious reasons.
We got to hear this story.
Well, let's just say you get bored in prison. Okay. And after a while, you're like, let me do something to get better food. So since he had 20 years, it's enough time.
So was his food kosher after that? Or
yeah,
that's good.
So that's the one way to do it. But
all right then.
But I always tell people, I go, my mom was a born again. My father was a Catholic. My brother is a Universal Life Church, and he paid $5 extra to get the wizard title, not the wizard that you're thinking. And then my other brother is a rabbi. But as far as my faith goes, I cannot persuade somebody by misleading them with information, because I only know what I know, and I couldn't articulate the truth of the faith to you in a way that would help you understand it, because it's something that comes from
I'm gonna
within.
ask a quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Who's God in your faith?
Oh, in my faith?
Yeah, how do you describe God?
Again,
who or what, or is he or she?
I'll say this much.
Okay.
I can talk about religion.
Okay.
But I can't tell you my religion or about my religion, because it could potentially persuade you towards or away, and that's not my position in life. I'm like the anti-Mormon, where I'm like, I'm not going to knock on your door, right? But
so you're a Jehovah's Witness?
No. But if you were,
good, because I completely detest the Book of Revelation, and I think it should be torn out of the Bible and tossed in the bin.
Look, you got to do what you got to do. But if you were a part of my faith, or you could recognize the signs or the signals, like just me saying what I said, you would, if you were part of the faith, you would know, right? You'd be like, oh, and you'd be like, boom, right? Now we can have a conversation about it. But I can talk about religion, but I cannot tell you, like, if you're like, whoa, who's your God? The philosophies within the faith itself are not here to direct or debate the idea of what somebody else may believe. So you are outwardly Christian. So I'm not going to deny.
Well, I'm also a yogi. I'm not your typical Christian, because this is what I tell people. I mean, I grew up with yoga.
Yeah. Well,
Somehow
you
I
have
ended up
good
back in
stretches.
Christianity, but
Yeah.
here's me. Okay, I believe in Jesus, I believe in God, I believe in the Holy Spirit, but I also believe the modern Christianity is somewhere between 90 and 99% horseshit.
Hey, I
And
mean,
that we
look,
should
there's
focus on the
3,000 faiths,
gospels
man.
and that's it. And toss out every other book in the tear
Yeah.
out every other book in the New Testament, stick with what Jesus actually says, and don't take anything that Paul says
Hmm.
at all, throw it all out. And once you do that, you pretty much toss out all of Christian doctrine too. Because if you happen to read the Bible or the Gospels, you might notice Jesus doesn't even talk about doctrine. All he does is tell stories and parables. Well,
Yeah,
there
but
must have
what do
been a
you think?
reason for him doing that.
But what do you think he did in the desert?
He went out on a 40 days and 40 nights down his spiritual quest.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a point where he's like, in his teens, and then he's back and he's in his 30s. So like, I'm
Right.
interested. I'm
Well, there's
interested.
so much missing, of course.
Yeah, yeah,
Also, there's a
that's
ton
what
of
I want.
gospels. Like, isn't it strange that Jesus' mother never wrote anything down? Don't you think she might have had a diary or something?
Well, to be fair, and not to push back on the validity of things, but the Book of John was written what, like 300 years later, or whatever it
Right.
was. There
Yeah,
was
yeah.
another book that was like 70 something years after the quote
That's
unquote death of Jesus. But the
right.
idea that the book is a collection of translations, mistranslations. I mean, like, I
It's
study
true.
languages, right?
Oh, okay.
And in the
I
sense of
took Sanskrit in college, by the way.
Sanskrit, that's a fun language to
It's
study.
pretty deep.
Uh, but my point is, language in itself is a loose translation and not a direct translation. So, for example, if I say to you, everybody knows Spanish, thank you. What is thank you in Spanish?
Gracias.
That's incorrect. That means grace. It just loosely translates to a English version of thank you, but it directly translates to grace. Now, if I say gracias to
Gracias.
you, what's the response to it?
De nada.
Which means what?
Well, we say it means you're welcome, but it really means it's nothing.
Yeah, it means of nothing, right?
Yeah.
So it's a loose translation, as all languages, right?
Right.
So the idea that Aramaic was translated to Hebrew, translated to Arabic, translated to, right? So again, I do not dismiss or argue the concepts of what people believe, but we have to accept that literature at its finest, passing through the hands of mortality, aren't necessarily going to maintain a value of validity. So,
right. Well, you get into the whole thing, like a lot of evangelists will straight up say to you, well, the Bible is the word of God. And I'm like, are you bullshitting me, dude? It even tells you in the Bible who wrote it, and it wasn't God.
yeah, correct.
But then they go off on this thing about how yes, but it was inspired by God. And well, like, okay, so now there's some humans involved. So now
Yeah.
we have some human frailties. So how can you say that it's the unerring word of God?
And also that the logical leap for that is inaccurate, because how do we know it was inspired by God? Because we don't have enough lineage to that moment, or even at least that passage of time, where we can say, yes, God came down and said, hey, buddy,
Well,
I'm going to
see,
need
then
you
you
to
get
write.
into your whole definition of what God is. I mean, if you think God is some super powerful being way off in some other
Yeah.
cloud throwing lightning bolts at you, then well, okay, but that's not who God is, honestly.
Yeah, but again, Mormons, I'm not pushing back or denying Mormonism, but I'm saying Mormons is what, 200 years old now, something like that, right? And the
Yeah.
guy was sitting under a tree and discovered the scrolls, right? So unless I was there or other people were there, we cannot accurately agree that it absolutely happened. You can have faith. You can have faith that it happened.
Right, but also you might want to ask the question, why do I care? How does it affect my life?
Well, I mean, for example, let's say you came to me and you were like, hey, you should believe in Christianity. And then I explained to you that I know a lot about, I grew up around it, but Sicilian, more Catholicism than, but anyway, and I'm not a Catholic, if anyone, or Christian, but the point is, even then, you have to have questions towards it. If somebody's telling you, like, for example, my nephew growing up, my mother, who is a deep born again, and she literally believes the earth is only 3,000 years old. She believes that dinosaurs didn't exist. They were snakes because the devil was a snake, right? She, she had a
that has
disconnect.
nothing to do with being born again. Honestly, if you
I
go
understand
to
what you're
the
saying.
passage where Jesus talks about being born again, it has nothing to do with how old or flat the earth is.
No,
All it has to do
look,
with is reborn, having your spirit being reborn.
she had the rebirth of the Christianity, but in doing so, she followed the churches or
Okay,
that
sorry, I
were
got to
like,
jump in. This is what
Wait,
I have to jump in.
all right, go for it.
This is the main thing that's wrong with Christianity. Okay,
Go for
a person will have some kind of spiritual experience, right? Something will happen. They'll see God. They'll feel God. They'll have a dream about Jesus. Something will happen that convinces them, like, oh my God, this is actually real.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. That experience is authentic. Then you go to church and you automatically think, oh, all these people are telling the truth. Oh, this is all part of this. What you don't realize is everything at church and all this doctrine is, like I said, 99% horse shit.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with your experience you just had. And if you go and read the Gospels, Jesus even says that. He says, there's a passage where he says, just go into a little room all by yourself and pray. Don't make a big show of it. Forget about all the priests and everybody else. Just find the silence in your own heart and pray. That's how you should do it.
Yeah. Jesus' word, if I remember correctly, was basically that we are our own temple.
Yeah.
The world is church, etc., etc.
Exactly. It's very new age. Honestly, it's very new age, very Zen, very in line with Buddhism and any other true religion. It's just that there's all this garbage that's been piled on top of it, mostly because of Paul, who incidentally never even met Jesus.
Because he's a dick.
And also notice, you have to remember the fact that Paul was a mass murderer who killed Christians, tortured them, and arrested them.
Well, there's also a story that Jesus also killed somebody as well. But
I never heard that one.
Yeah, there's an off book that was denied that the Catholic Church actually says we do not accept that book.
Oh, is that the one about how he caused the birds to a child died from these birds that he cursed somebody and they died?
No, he was 16 at the time of the
right,
story.
Yeah, I've heard that. I think it's in the Gospel of Timothy.
Yeah,
it's in one of those other Gospels that's not allowed in the Bible.
But also, well, that's a whole other thing. But I just wanted to get to. So you had said, what's the point of even asking? My point is, if my mother's telling me that Earth is 3,000 years old and she says you should believe these things,
why?
Why does she tell me that? Because she has faith.
The thing to do is to ask her, Mom. Well, for one thing, tell her this. Okay, I got to get into.
Well, she's dead. I can't tell her much. But
so the whole idea that you have to accept Jesus to get eternal heaven and escape eternal hell is all horseshit. Jesus never ever said that. That's all made up crap. In fact, believe it or not, he never even talks about the afterlife. In the book of Matthew, he talks about the kingdom of heaven all the time.
Yeah.
But the word he uses for heaven is the Greek word ouranos, which doesn't mean heaven, the afterlife. It means heaven as in the sky that contains the sun, moon, the stars, and all the planets.
Yeah, but
the only time he ever talks about the afterlife is when he's on the cross and he turns to the guy next to him and he says, truly, truly, today you will be with me in paradise. But he uses the word paradisium, which means a celestial garden. That's the only time that he talks about the afterlife. All the other times, he either calls it the kingdom of heaven, which is basically the universe, or he calls it the kingdom of God, which is also just God's creation. It's not about the afterlife. It's about living your life in this universe as a moral and good person. That's what
but whether really I agree with that or not, I'm the point I'm still trying to make is why would we question? If somebody tells us XYZ, why should we care to ask questions? And the reason
is you should ask questions in order to find the truth.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying, because you said why? Who cares?
Okay, let's
why
go
do you
back
need
to
ask questions?
22:36.
That's all you need.
The good thing about this is that, okay, first commandment, you should love God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your mind. Okay, so if you're loving God with your mind, that means that God's saying you need to use your mind. You were given a mind, so use it. figure things out and figure out the difference between truth and false, what's true and what's false, what's good and bad, using your mind. That's what loving God with your mind means. It gets deep really fast.
I mean,
it's not going to church and going, where's the cookies? I can't wait to have my coffee and my cookie after we sing some songs.
Yeah, but let's
means
be honest.
actually
Anything can be deep.
And
you know what I'm saying? Depending on how much weed you're smoking, anything could be deep. But to say the idea like don't worship any other god, use your brain and you can believe in God, that's deep.
Mm-hmm.
But because it is so, look, every variation of a religion, whether it's Thor or Yahweh or Muhammad or whoever,
Shiva the destroyer,
Shiva the destroyer, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Whatever faith or religion or text you look into, everything about each element is going to be an area for depth because we don't understand it. We only are it's passed along information. For example, let's say you and I go
However, we are capable of understanding it. All we have to do is observe.
Well, let me explain the logical, the deductive reasoning.
Okay.
So if you and I decided to go to a church, let's say in Seattle, and whether it's a priest, a pastor, or whoever speaks out on whatever part of the Bible they speak out on, then you and I have a debate on it and say, what did you feel? What did I feel? It's probably going to be a different understanding. Now, we then go to, say, Milwaukee. Okay. And in Milwaukee, we go to a temple. And the Jewish Bible has some passages. So we're going to say they're reading a passage from the same text. And the rabbi speaks out what they believe it is. And then you and I have a conversation with it. And again, all three of us now are going to have a different perspective. Then we decide to go to New York City and we go to, we read from the Quran because, we go to whatever. And Muhammad and Jesus hung out. They both split at a certain point. So we know they're going to have some of the same dialect. So we read a passage that connects all three. And lo and behold, they're going to say something completely different than the rabbi and the priest. And then we have to have a discussion. And now our understanding of what they said is going to be different. Right. And that's the problem with us understanding what we're hearing, is that it is not the truest form of information. It is all, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying it's a perspective, right? So if I read Genesis, in the beginning there was nothing, right? What does that mean, though? Right? And we could have huge debates on that. We could have hours upon hours of what in the beginning there was nothing, and then on the first day he said, "Let there be light," and there was light, right? And now we could be talking.
I think it says there was chaos, so it really wasn't nothing.
Well, it depends. Are you talking about about the King James Bible, or you're talking about the original Bible? Or he said,
"Dare I look it up?"
He said, "Let there be light," and this is Genesis 1:3. God says, "Let there be light," and there was light. That's Genesis 1:3. Then God said, right? So, but there are different versions. King James says, "And God said, let there be light," and there was light. Right? So it's all the basic same thing. Anyway, it doesn't matter. My
Actually,
point
the opening verse is, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth."
The opening of the Bible, but again, there are different variations of the Bible, is my point, right? So, in the beginning, God created the heavens and earth, and there was, right. And then he's like, hey, by the way, he creates light and separates it from darkness, establishing day and night, right? And then he talks about God's created the skies, right? So all that is there, yeah, for sure. But my point still stands. We can go into a deep conversation and overanalyze all that, unless we're theicists, where we are a student of the Word of God and we understand the mistranslations from Greek to this to that. Right. We are only basing it on, quote unquote, faith. We are having faith on our perception of information.
Well, then you already got into a quagmire, because we're supposed to have faith, right? If you have faith like a child, that's how you enter heaven. Jesus says something like that. Then the question is, what is faith? Is that just,
are we using the definition of faith? Are we using the English definition of faith? Are we using,
Well, if
I
we're talking
mean,
New Testament, we're either using Aramaic or Greek.
well,
That's about as deep as we can go for that. But if
well,
we're Old
sprechen Sie
Testament, then we're
Deutsch?
doing Hebrew.
You can talk Deutsch. Nein,
I
sprechen
mean,
Sie
of
Deutsch.
course, if we're talking Genesis, I would want to go straight to the Hebrew and get all the nuances of the Hebrew words, right?
Well, yeah, we could talk about how, I don't know, Earth was formless. Sure. We could talk about the Spirit of God and it
Right.
hovered, and we could talk about,
Right, and
yeah.
there was actually a UFO that was floating above the water.
Yeah, we could do that too. We could
Well,
get
interestingly
into
enough, the word for
crazy.
God in Genesis is Elohim, which actually means the
Elohim.
strong ones.
Yeah. I mean, but
So
also
it could be
Lucifer is a
gods.
title, not a person.
Yeah,
It isn't always capitalized, just as
right.
Satan. I don't even think Satan's necessarily in the Bible as we predicted to. And there
Well,
are only
Satan actually is
aren't
a
there only
Hebrew
three
word that
archangels
means
mentioned?
Satan isn't actually a
A
proper
a person.
noun.
Yeah,
It's
correct,
actually
correct.
just means an antagonizer or something like that.
Correct, correct. Yeah, and there's
Yeah,
many devils that are presented, and it's not like
right,
a devil, but also the
right.
archangels. I think there's only 3, maybe 4 mentioned in the whole Bible. We have Michael, we have Gabriel, and then
Right.
there's but we don't have what is his name? Megadonalyn, the voice of
Whatever. I
God.
already
There we
told you
go.
I completely toss out the book of Revelation. So anything in that book, forget it.
It's just but
That doesn't count.
I'm just pushing back on the concept of why does it matter to ask questions? And the reason we
Right.
ask
But and
questions.
I was leading you somewhere, but you went off. I was trying to get you to the point to say something like, you ask questions so that you can arrive at the truth.
But there is no truth when it comes to
Certainly there's truth.
there,
There's
there
such a
is
truth
a
as
truth. There is
there's
an
truth. Well,
objective.
for example,
Okay.
on planet Earth, there is this thing called gravity, which is very reliable, and we could call that a kind of a truth. Okay.
Oh, can I just you said that. Let me just point out a reality.
Okay.
The objective truth is if I lift something, it falls. The
Okay.
subjective truth is that we all collectively agree that it's called gravity. But we also collectively agree that gravity works as a formula. But Newton's law on gravity has been disproven and elevated to Einstein's relativity, right?
Curvature of space.
Yeah. So the concept of gravity itself is subjective at best because it is something we are seeing and observing, and the only
Mhm.
objective truth of
And
gravity.
interacting with.
And in our, yeah, but that's the only objective truth is our experience with it, right?
Okay.
If you drop, but again, I believe in gravity. I call it gravity.
Okay.
I'm creating a philosophical truth, which is just because we name it and just because we believe we understand it doesn't necessarily mean we understand it. And that goes back to Earth was flat, Earth was
Okay.
round,
Wait,
now
I
it's
got to jump
oblique.
in.
Right.
Whether or not we understand it for what it really is, we certainly know how to interact with it, right?
Agreed. That I agree with.
So you can be that pragmatic with God and religion too. You're like, well, I don't quite understand this, but I want to interact with this force that has a quality of peace and love and joy. And I notice that if I happen to follow these messages that this God-like peace, love, and joy sends to me through my heart, if I follow them, my life seems to work a lot better. And I'm
Yeah,
not
but
talking rules. I'm talking like little messages like, Matt, you probably should go left rather than right at that stop sign. Don't ask me why, just do it. You'll find
so
out later.
the debate is that God in general, whatever faith it is, maybe it's
Right.
Thor, we don't know. Maybe Odin did it, right?
Yeah. It
He
doesn't
was like,
matter what we call it. If
yeah,
it's
it
like,
doesn't matter.
see, here's
Let's
my
call him
point.
Yahweh. Wait.
My point is that God is not like some imaginary being. It's just basically the best way to define God is like basically a force of nature, like gravity or like space or time or anything like that. It's at that level, but actually it's that which existed before all these other physical laws and stuff, and which everything exists within. That's my best definition of God.
That's a good definition.
In fact, it's actually even better than that. It's honestly, it's just awareness, the power of awareness, because nothing can exist if there's no awareness, nothing exists.
Well, yeah, sure. I mean, a rock still exists if it doesn't
No,
know
it
it
doesn't. Not if
exists.
nothing's aware of it.
Well, I mean, you obviously know that at some point or another, uh, Thea and Terran smashed into one another, and we created Luna, which is the moon, right? So
Okay.
at one point or another, they were also magma, right? So, and eventually, over, I would say, more than 3 days,
Mhm.
the Earth was formed and
Correct.
created what we would call atmosphere.
Okay.
I
That
think
we
the
can
biggest
breathe.
argument, and I'm extremely religious. Okay, I
I
am
really
highly
want to.
religious.
Can't you just give us like a hint about what your
I did. I
religion
gave you
is?
several hints. I gave you several hints.
What
That's
letter does it start with? Just one letter.
I cannot. But
And I know it's not a Z. You're not a Zoroastrian.
I am definitely not a Zoroastrian.
Okay.
But my point is, we have to ignore that happened through science to have faith in the unknown, right? Or we
No,
have to
do
ignore
not.
that
No, of
dust
course you do
created
not. You
stars, or we
absolutely
have
do
to
not.
ignore. But then now you're a creationist, right? And
you can
right?
be a creationist in a sense that it requires some kind of intelligence in order to create and maintain the universe, and still completely accept all the discovered physical laws and everything like that, and not pretend that the Earth is 6,000 years old.
Well, like the new, but that's what I'm saying. Like, if you're, the thing is, you need to question, to just have blind faith would
It's
lead
stupid.
you
Blind
with, yeah.
faith is a contradiction. Faith has nothing to do with blindness. Faith has to do with the ability to perceive things as they truly are, and that's not being blind.
But
It's the
we
opposite.
don't understand what something truly it. You could not, anybody, unless you are a scientist has been studying it for 20 years, truly explain relativity, right?
Relativity.
You can simplify it. You can give the I went to school answer, but the study of it, the intricacy of it, it's like
Are we talking
quantum
about
physics.
general or special?
I'm talking about any area of information, unless you are an expert in it. Like, if
Okay.
right now you just said, well, I've been studying it for 30 years. Well, you're not the person I'm talking about. But if you're not you, the royal you, if
Okay.
the royal you of people is like, hey, I have this information, and you go, well, where did you get it? My pastor or my whoever. And you're
Okay.
like, okay, did you look into it? No, I have faith. I have faith. All right, but you don't
That's
understand
not
it. Yes,
true
I
faith.
do.
That's ignorance.
That's why I'm saying we need to go deeper into ideas.
Right.
But no matter how deep we go into it, it doesn't mean we understand it until we put 30, 40 years into understanding something so as complex as, the idea that if I pray, this happens. If I have faith, this like when I had cancer and I had surgery, people were like, God helped you. And I'm like, no, his name was Dr. Cohen. And Dr. Cohen used a mechanical machine that was invented by people to put 5 hands into my stomach and tear me apart,
But God told him to do it.
I didn't tell him God was holding his hands. No, he was
Right.
eating a
God was
fucking
right
jelly
there
donut.
whispering in his ears, like, it's cut right there. Do that. Snip that.
Look, again, I'm highly religious, but I also have zero faith that God had anything to do with me going into surgery.
Well, I've noticed just from my own observation, being on the earth for about 60 years, I noticed that God typically does not intervene and he sort of lets things work as they are. I mean,
Sure, that's normal.
occasionally it seems like he does have a little
Yeah.
fudge factor here and there, but generally speaking, he doesn't intervene in any major way.
I mean, look, whether you believe in God or not stopping people from killing each other is weird. It's just weird to me. But
Okay.
also maybe they're trying to kill off the dummies, but the dummies aren't the ones fighting. They're dictating. They're go here, go there,
Right.
maybe
The people fighting are just the drones following their orders, and they're not even sure why they're doing it.
Right. But also my favorite argument is if group A is praying to the green tree gods and group B is praying to the red tree gods, and they're like, God, please help us win this war and kill these evil people, who's right? And who's God choosing? Is God like, well, let's see. They prayed to me a little longer. They call me the red tree god, but I'm really the green tree god. Right?
My friend,
all that.
You need to watch Egotastic Trek, and all these questions will be answered.
I'm not debating your faith or faith in general. I'm debating the conversation, which is, again, the question of why does it matter? Why do we have to ask questions anyway? And I'm just presenting
okay,
the
I'll give you
argument.
the short answer. The reason it matters is because people.
No, you were saying it doesn't matter.
No, it
That was
does. Okay, as a human being,
yes.
I have needs, and one of my core needs is that I want to be happy and I want to feel love and peace.
Yeah.
And it turns out that the closer you get to God, the more you feel love and peace, because honestly, those are the qualities. Okay, first off, I'm going to go super yoga on you now. God has no form. You can't assign a form to God because he's beyond, he's formless. The closest thing you can say is that God is awareness or consciousness.
Well, you could also
Formless.
say he's a
But
cat.
if you go a little bit out from that, the first thing that you experience beyond consciousness and awareness is this feeling of well-being and love and peace. And those types of feelings are the types of feelings that human beings really enjoy. So that in an essence is why you want to know who God is and why you would want to be close to God, because you get love, peace, and joy.
Yeah. I
That's
mean,
the
I don't
most
disagree with what
fundamental answer.
I don't disagree with your perspective on it. I just also know you can say God is a cat.
Is a what?
Is a cat. And you can't tell me he's not, he, she, it, or whatever is
Well,
not.
the cat, I can worship the cat God. That's true.
No, but I'm saying.
But now you're just into words. Now you're just basically
No.
giving a name to something.
No, what I'm saying, look, I'm not disagreeing with how you define your approach to faith and God.
Okay.
But that should also mean that I can now present God and faith however I want, and I shouldn't technically be wrong. Because
well, okay, let's ask the question: who cares if you're wrong or not? Why does it matter?
Well, that is my point. It doesn't. You're saying XYZ, and I'm saying ABC, and who says either one is wrong? It's just.
And
but you have an absolute to yours. God isn't.
Well, there. Okay, now we're into another philosophy, an Indian philosophy called Vedanta, which is instead of saying what God is, we'll just say what God isn't. And then they'll just keep saying, well, he's not this, he's not that, he's not this, he's not that, he's not this, he's not that. And finally, when we take everything else away, whatever remains, let's say that's what God is.
Yeah, but you were saying,
yeah.
Again, I'm not denying your descriptor.
Okay.
I'm just as a
mine's
philosopher.
Classical yoga. Basically, it's Sat Chit Ananda. Sat meaning existence, Chit consciousness, Ananda meaning bliss or love.
Yeah, but the term, the words you chose to use was that God isn't a form.
Correct. Brahman.
No, that's correct what you said. That's correct what you said, but that doesn't necessarily mean it is correct. And that's what my perspective was at the beginning of this, is ultimately nobody knows.
Okay, I'm going to go deep on you big time now.
So we're going deep.
I can't say that that's correct, because the whole concept of correctness and not is a mental construct, and already you can't put God into any kind of mental construct.
That's why I'm saying it's subjective.
So saying it's correct is impossible.
That's why I'm saying it's subjective at best, and you have to ask questions so you can start finding your way to the truth that works within you. The truth that makes sense.
Back to this 42. This is the answer. Problem is, we haven't figured out what the darn question is. If we can figure out the question, we know the answer.
The answer is 6 if you add them together, and 6 is divisible by 3, and 3 is the magical number of 9.
Divided by 2 is 2.
It's 2.
Yeah, so there's a lot of numerology.
There's a lot of math. But 7 is the holy number, but 9 is the universal number.
Really?
Not yet. 3. No, 9. Well, 9 is a divisible of 3.
3 times 3 is 9.
9 is the universal. Yeah, 9 is the universal number, widely known as the universal number, or represents completion, spiritual awakening, and universal love. The reason is because 9 is the grand finale. It is about letting go of what no longer serves you and closing.
Well, okay, but the thing is, once they went to grand finale, then you're like, oh, that's just because our number system is base 10 and 9 is the final symbol.
It is base 10. That's right. But no, isn't it base 9? It's base 9 because it's 0. Because of 0.
Yeah.
Yes,
But
that's
so
base 10.
so that bit is only because we use base 10 mathematics. I mean, we could have base 12 or base 8 or base hex or whatever.
But it also has the unique property that there's an interesting element to it. But again,
Okay.
we could dismantle that and do
True.
exactly what you did. Was it's base 10, not base 12, not base 13.
Yeah.
And if anyone doesn't know, when you get to 13 and base 13, then you're gonna start over. It's 13 numbers per thing. Anyway, that's why we only go to 9 and then we start over.
We can
Anyway.
say and that's the Arabic system.
Yeah.
So all our Mideastern brethren and Islam, I believe, is the ones that created that number system that we currently still use.
Yeah, but the 0, I think, is their big contribution. But Greek and Roman had mathematics and algebra. But there is an argument that says India invented math, period, and everyone culture appropriated it, which doesn't make sense because they were doing math in Mexico,
right,
and Argentina, and building pyramids. And if someone says no, they weren't, then you go, well, then how did they build pyramids without arithmetic?
Right.
You have to measure things.
Right, that's true. Well, math is just a way of describing the universe.
Yeah, and math is always
the language of physics is one way to put it.
Well, there's this great Ricky. Again, I am highly religious. I'm not a Ricky Gervais. I'm not a as you would say. What is he? He doesn't believe in any faith or anything, but he has this really interesting agnostic, right? So he has this really interesting quote where he's basically saying, if you get rid of all the religious scripture out there in the world, and you get rid of all the science and all the math out there, in 1,000 years' time, every religious book would be different, but all the science would be the same. Meaning, math is math. Like if I have
I'm trying to describe the way the universe actually is.
Yeah, and I always thought that was interesting because that I don't know if you study the evolution of Earth and all that, but we had a technological expansion in time, and then it got destroyed. The planet itself overwhelmed us. We didn't have what it took, and if you believe in Atlantis, that sunk. Right. If you believe in Egypt, that fell. That was a growing. Now I mean, Cairo's growing big, and there's a lot of technology over there, but their advancement slowed for a great deal. And the only reason even Europe itself expanded was because of the plague, was because of nomadic tribes, was because of, learning how to cultivate and farm. And there was a lot of advancements within the European cultures that helped them advance in technology. But my point is, we only understand what we understand, whether we believe we do or not, because
we don't know what we don't know.
Yeah. And what is it? The Krug-Dungner fit, where you believe you know more than you know. And even though I'm highly religious, I also know that I don't know it all. And that is another reason our faith represents the boundary of, I can't tell you. Do you have 6 fingers on that hand?
No.
Oh.
I'm just raising my hand to ask a question when you're ready.
Yeah. But that is one of the reasons I cannot present to you any guidance to understanding my faith, because I only know what I know. I can only tell you what I know, and it might not necessarily be correct for you to move forward, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, I'm going to ask a few questions.
Go ahead.
The first question is, does your faith have any songs that we can sing?
I cannot tell you that.
So you're not going to say yes or no?
Let's say I say yes, right?
Okay.
Now, that leads you or pushes you away. I don't like songs. I like songs, right?
Okay.
So if I say no.
Number 2.
Go for it.
Do you guys ever pass out any pamphlets?
That I can answer.
Okay.
No.
All right. Number 3, do you have to be born into this religion, or can anybody be converted or join your religion?
Well, I answered that earlier. I says the reason I don't tell you anything is because it's up to you. It's your journey to find it, to become it, to feel it, to express it. And there are many people that believe what I believe, right?
Okay. So how then? It's a completely individual journey, and then somehow magically I find my brothers and my sisters. that are just like me?
I can't explain that part to you. That would be against the rules. But what I can say is whatever lead, you know what? I'll use Christianity as an example.
Okay.
If I tell you you should read the Bible,
Okay.
you may or may not read the Bible because I told you to read it.
Okay.
You may hate me and be like, I'm not reading anything they suggest to me. Or you might be like, well, they're the only person I trust, so I'm going to read it. Now your journey to Judaism has been has been pushed away. Your journey to this faith, because now you're going to read this book because you were influenced by someone you have trust in, but it takes you away from the path that you were meant to go. So whatever gets you to wherever it's supposed to go, I'm not a part of that, and I shouldn't be.
Now, this is not a question. This is a statement. I'm going to just point out right now that you guys really got to work on your recruitment.
Just why do we need recruitment?
Well, maybe that may be it right there. You don't even care about such things.
Well, it's not.
Can I get some kind of prize? Like, can I go to a special heaven, or can I escape some eternal hell, or can I have like 50 wives in the afterlife, or in my next life I'll be rich?
You don't want 72
Is there
virgins?
anything that I get out of this?
It depends, really. It depends if you like the color blue and you go with green for your brand logo. Yeah, but you went with green.
I did go with green. I admit it. Look, am I able to atone for my sins? If I sin, can I say I'm sorry and then somehow be relieved of the guilt?
Here's a philosophical question: is there really sin?
Well, that's a good one,
right? Because
here's came up. This is what the definition I finally arrived at.
Yeah.
Anything that takes you away from God or separates you from God is a sin.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that brings you closer is good. So therefore, for example, if I am a drug addict and I do drugs for whatever, and it actually brings me closer to God, then it's not a sin. But if I'm a drug addict and it destroys my life and it destroys all the lives of everyone around me and causes all this trouble, then it's a sin. So from a spiritual point of view, that's my definition. But if from a cultural point of view, it could be different. But from a spiritual point of view, that's what my definition is.
Again, my father was Catholic.
Okay.
Right? And he was sent to Vietnam against his interests. Right. He was on the bequest of the government, and
drafted.
He was drafted, and he definitely killed people.
Okay,
right, because it's them or me, right?
Right.
He believes, well, he's dead, but he believed he was going to hell because he killed people, and the Bible says, "Thou shalt not kill." Mm-hmm. And I said, you had a choice. And he goes, no, then I get arrested.
Well, meanwhile, there's so many examples in the Bible of the Israelites killing people.
People kill everywhere. And people kill in the name of God. And people, right? Many gods, not just the Christian or Catholic God, right? So it's interesting to look at the world. And I think the issue that I will go back to is ultimately that we perceive information. We accept the information through the Dunning-Kruger effect that I know this thing, so therefore I am an expert. And ultimately, because I believe this, and you people like me, I will tell you these things. And now those people are like, well, I like you, and you would not lead me wrong, and therefore I agree with you. And then,
honestly, that's what ultimately happens is you make some kind of leap of something where you decide, you know what, I kind of like this guy. And I feel good, and I like his vibe, so I'm just gonna kind of accept what he says.
The only problem is, how come he's not the one drinking the Kool-Aid, and we all have to? And then they find 155 people dead in Texas. There's like, well, I got you guys. There is that. Right. There is that issue. But again, I think everybody if you believe
that's what I said. I don't think me and you are too far off. Honestly, that's why I love to say that most of Christianity is horseshit. But I actually believe in Jesus and the Holy Spirit and God. Yeah, because I believe in what is true.
Well,
so if that's true, then and I have to have some proof of this, and the more I feel in line with spiritual forces, closer I feel to God, the more I realize, whoa, this, like, for example, why does all of Christianity worship crosses?
Yeah, when they should
Want
be
another
worshiping the
reason?
crucifix.
Jesus never told us to worship crosses.
That is true. That's true.
Paul is the one that's obsessed with crosses. You know why? Because the guy's crazy. He was a fucking mass murderer. And the cross was the symbol and the instrument of torture that used by the Roman Empire to keep people in line. And guess who Paul is? Paul is the dude who corrupted Christianity in order to to atone for his own sins. Plus, he got in bed with the Roman Empire, and they got together. It even says so in the book of Acts and in Paul's letters. They got together and they corrupted Christianity. Instead of stamping it out, they figured out a way to change it so that they could use it to as a political force and keep people in line. And that's why we have crosses we worship now.
Well, to be fair, Jesus was into CrossFit, but more importantly, you have to understand that science led Christianity to overwhelm the heathens by doing tests. For example, when they went to the Nords or up where the Vikings are and stuff like that, they said, listen, we'll do a test. If your gods believe in you, you can walk through this fire and you'll be fine. If we could walk through it and we are protected, our God is the true God. And they did it. They knew the science of fire walking, and the other people, the Vikings and the other people, they didn't, and they got burnt. And they went, oh, But also
that could be
fair,
a Star Trek episode. That could easily be a Star Trek episode.
It could be a stuff, but it's not. It's a real story, and it's a part of the manipulation of it. But I will say this: you said it is the truth. I'm not going to deny you that you believe it is the truth, but for it to be the truth, there needs to be an objective reality to it.
Okay.
You have a subjective truth, which I accept, but for me or anybody to accept your word at it, at the subjective truth, without asking at least one question.
I'm going to give you one question. It better be a good one.
No, I'm saying I would have to have one. If you were like, hey, this is the truth because I feel it, and I'm like, oh, well, I like Matt, and he's a Star Trek cello guy. So
that's true.
If he believes it's the truth, then it must be the truth. And then I have to be like, but Matt.
Well, must be, but it'd be nice if it was.
But you said it is the truth. And is
well, okay. So the thing is, if I completely deny truth, then I have to just have an assumption that there's a truth. Otherwise, I'm like some boat at sea that will never ever find the shore. Like my brain cannot exist without the concept of truth that it can constantly search for. Maybe that concept is just my brain's fantasy, but it's one way to keep myself sane is to think, okay, there's a truth that I have to constantly strive to perceive.
My argument is, even when I spoke to, rabbis, priests, everybody in every religion, I love talking religious elements with people, but it's the wording is my issue.
Okay.
If you or anyone else says this is the truth that I believe in,
okay,
I can't argue that. But if somebody says this is the truth, you are now wrong. And the reason it's wrong,
I hear what you're saying. This person, for example, if somebody says, well, we believe that everything in the Bible is the word of God and it's infallible, and I'm like, well, I already know this guy's either a fool or he's trying to suck me into his cult.
Yeah, but I'd have respect for that person. I just wouldn't, whether I go for them or not, because they're using.
I would immediately ask him the most obvious questions, like, well, how come the books in the Bible tell you who wrote it and it wasn't God?
Yeah. And then,
or you could ask him this question: where in the Bible does it say that everything in the Bible is the infallible word of God?
Yeah, but again, you can ask those questions, and you should. But if they respond with, "Well, this is why,"
you know what the true answer is. You want to know what the answer is? The answer is he's saying that because that's what they taught him at seminary. That's the true answer.
By the way, just proves my point from earlier, which is ultimately whatever it is somebody learns of quote unquote faith, even me. That's
Right.
why I can't tell you. You know, I can't have a open conversation about what I believe because then it'll be
Oh,
convoluted at best.
come on, man. It can't be that wacky of a religion if it believes
It's
in
it's
love
it's
and
not
do you believe in love? Okay, do
it's
you
not
believe in love?
wacky per se, but my point, like let's say I was a believer of the tree gods, just as an arbitrary example, right?
The tree god, okay. The
If I
tree of
start
life.
going, the tree, each leaf on the tree represents the true meaning of faith, and the greener your tree, the purer your heart, right? And now
I can
somebody's
go with
like,
that. I
yeah,
could even write a song about that.
but my point is, it's just ramblings, but it's on. If I believed it, I can't argue with that person. I can't be like, well, the tree god doesn't. That person's happy.
Well, can't they
They're
just
not
show you
hurting
a tree?
anybody. What?
They could just show you a tree and say, well, here's the earthly
Here's the
example of the
tree
tree
god.
god, and right here's some leaves.
Yeah,
And
they do it in Game of Thrones. Here's the old gods, right? But that's what they do. The old gods of the trees, right? They're different tree gods. But if somebody shows you a tree with a face on it, and you don't know that there was actually a group of people, I forget what they're called, but they're basically like these magical beings. They carved the faces in the trees. If you didn't know that, you'd be like, they're real gods. They're trees. They have faces, right? And someone's like, and if you're a kid, and your father is like, or your mother's like, this is the old gods, and that's why there's a face, because this tree is a god.
right, we're
And the
getting
kid's like,
somewhere. We're getting
magic,
somewhere. Okay, I think what
right?
we're getting at is this. It's not so much what God is or who he is, but it's like who's tight with them. Here's the catch. You say, God is such and such and so and so and so, and I'm really tight with him because I know a lot about him. So therefore, I have way more authority than you do.
Yeah, sure. But then somebody goes, what about Bob? And they're like, what about Bob? Well, Bob believes in the red leaf gods.
Well, Bob believes in false gods. That's obvious.
There you go.
Mhm.
And now
Therefore, you got to stay away from that dude.
the only
Otherwise,
thing I
you're
agree
going
with
to hell.
is if somebody believes in the green leaf gods and somebody believes in the red leaf gods, and neither one kills each other for it, where this person lives in this forest and that person lives in that forest, and then occasionally they meet in the middle, or they go into each other's forest and they go, hey, I got some bananas that grow from our trees, I got some grapes that grow from our trees. If we're doing that,
look, I'll tell you what
fun.
it is. Here's how you tell whether the red tree god or the green tree god is better.
The killing?
Want to know what it is?
Yeah. What?
If I pray to the red tree god and the red tree god says that it's going to rain from such and such to so and whatever, therefore plant these plants at this time over there.
Yeah.
And then the green tree god says, no, it's going to rain from such and such and so, so plant those other plants over there from that time there.
Yeah.
Whoever plants are better obviously has the better god.
So now we're back to if we walk through the fire and my God protects me, and you walk through the fire and your God doesn't protect you, and then you find out one of them actually studies urbanotics or whatever, they understand, trees, and like I'm whatever, and that's the magic behind the truth is I understand when rain is going to come. I'm a meteorologist. And,
so maybe the real God is actually the power of knowledge. Whoever has the best knowledge
maybe.
is closest to God.
Knowledge, yeah, but again, what is knowledge? Because if we go back to gravity, we only understand what somebody called it, and then we learned that it wasn't necessarily true. But that's the thing about
okay, hold on. So just a sec. Okay, so if you call it gravity, somebody else calls it curvature of space, somebody else calls it magnetic force, somebody else calls it it still works the same way no matter what you call it, right?
Well, as I said earlier in the conversation, the objective truth is that we can see that something falls. The subjective truth is the way we understand it. Whether it's the closest to the truth or not, it doesn't mean it is absolute truth, because it is only based on our limited understanding or knowledge of it, right?
So the subjective truth implies a certain relationship, right? Your relationship with it and how you interact with it.
Yeah, but also we're only three-dimensional beings. Like as soon as you get into fourth, fifth, and sixth dimensional concepts, you know what I'm saying? Like
Who
we can't
cares,
see over the
man?
table.
Look, okay, but the thing is,
But you know what I'm saying? Like
I'm not on mushrooms right now,
either am I. I've never
so
done a
I
drug
don't
a day in
need
my
to worry
life.
about 7 dimensions.
I'm not worrying
I'm
about
really
7.
cool with 3 and
I am
time.
too, but so is an ant. You know, an ant
True.
is comfortable with I wake up, I'm part of a collective, I got to go do this, this, and this, right?
Mm.
But you start
Well,
burning
there's
an
a lot of
ant.
assumptions there.
Well, yeah, but you start burning an ant, they die, their pheromones explode, and then the other ants are informed that an ant was killed, and then they go and find wherever that pheromone exploded. That's why you're not supposed to kill ants in your house, because that actually draws more ants in because they're attached to the pheromone, right?
Not know that.
But again, I could be 100% wrong with that, but that is what I studied about the animal kingdom and learned about the insect world and the crust, right? So,
Okay.
but the point is, all information is like that. We only know as much as we know, and it's ever changing and ever informing. You know,
That's
some
why
people.
life is so fun.
I agree with it. See, I agree with that, but you know, I hope no one listening to this is understanding that I'm disagreeing with you. I'm not disagreeing with the way you see the world or you experience your faith or anybody does.
Okay.
I'm talking more from a philosophical or even a logical standpoint, not to dismiss or disprove, but to stand at a point of understanding. Like I'm interested. Like the moment my mother told me the earth was 3,000 years old, and I said, well, why? And she says, because God created earth 3,000 years old. I had more questions. And again, I can't tell her she's wrong. I can only say I don't believe that, because if it makes her happy, if it keeps her from killing people, do you know what I'm saying? Like if it keeps her.
Like, the thing is, okay, I have to address this. Why? What value is given to insisting that the earth is 3,000 years old or 6,000 years old when it obviously is not?
As per my mother, it is the true word of God and the faith. And if we disbelieve that God created the world,
but the freaking Bible just never says the earth is 6,000 years old. It just kind of says such and such was born, then this guy, then that guy. And somebody else did the calculation.
Well, the age of the Bible is the dictation, right? It's the found, right? The age of the Bible is supposed to suggest the age.
Right.
I don't agree with this. Just for anyone listening. But if you dismiss, but again, like if you go to a whatever.
Okay, I have to jump in. This is slightly off the topic, but I was at a Bible study, and we were most of the time we do the New Testament, so I'm fine. But we did a couple Old Testament ones, and we read one of the books of the Old Testament, which was talking about a certain king had supposedly sinned against God, and then that's why all his armies got destroyed, and then later on, blah blah blah, these guys conquered those guys, and then these guys, this other king came, and this guy married his daughter, and so on. And therefore, what is the spiritual message that God has given to us? And I said, there's no spiritual message. This is just history. It's a history of the Jews. That's it. There's no spiritual message in this particular book in the Bible.
Yeah, but when Locke's wife gets burnt and turned to dust.
Yeah. So there's an example, I think, where you're using the Bible wrong. You're reading a passage that's simply a history of your culture, and then you're trying to turn it into something that it's not.
And now you know where I stand on my point.
Yeah.
That's like exactly what I'm saying is, but you have a strong belief against what they believe. But I am saying I am you questioning them, but I'm also questioning you in the sense of this is truth, right? But you have a strong belief about A, you just don't believe B, and then someone's like, no, C is correct, right? Mm-hmm. I'm stepping like back to Ricky Gervais. He goes to the guy who just lost his show, Colbert. He goes, look, there are 3,000 gods in the world. You believe that 2,999 gods don't exist, and I just believe that one additional god doesn't exist. So what makes you right? And you know what I'm saying? That's the problem with perspective. That's the problem with limited knowledge. And I'm not saying you're not intelligent. I'm just saying you only know what you know. And there is a guaranteed probability that you are going to hear, experience, or be a part of something that changes or adjusts your perspective on life, depending on your age. There are some people that, psychologically speaking, sometimes the mind actually doesn't evolve in certain ways. The old saying, we get stuck in our ways, right?
Yeah.
So, but
the neurons lose their plasticity.
Yeah, and you're just like, I'm just going to watch TV today at 5 o'clock. But I'm saying there is a guaranteed probability that you're going to experience something that actually makes you readjust what it is you do understand. Yeah.
And well, you should. Being alive is being able to evolve.
But if I may, and again, I'm not challenging or dismissing you, but with that said, why hold a strong stance on something instead of allowing your receptor to hear new truths? And not necessarily saying it is wrong what you are hearing from others, but the potential of.
Okay. You need to, or I'll say I need to hold a strong stance and have a strong perception of truth for basically survival. Because if I don't, I feel like I'll be swept away in the chaos of life.
Again, the earth was once flat. It was once held by elephants. It was elephants and turtles. It was once then round. Then now we see it as oblique.
Okay.
And apparently there are people who still believe it's flat. But information is important to take in, not to just accept, but to question so we can evolve our understanding or our enlightenment, whatever that may be.
So isn't your questioning of stuff, I think honestly, what you're saying, you're taking the path of doubt, of questioning, which honestly is what I do too.
Yeah.
And I think you actually are doing it for the same exact reason. I'm just stating I'm doing it because I believe in this platonic form, let's say, of truth. There is something called the truth, which is how things actually are. And I'm always trying to perceive that as best as I can and try to get through the chaos of my own misinterpretations and whatever the faults, my eyes, that things that I don't see correctly or hear correctly, whatever, and my brain doesn't properly perceive, I'm still at least trying to arrive at that actual truth. And I'm always assuming that the truth that I finally arrive at is going to be the same truth that you arrive at, because it's the truth. It's the underlying way things actually are.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I would push back on is I do not believe with doubt. I believe that what I hear is new information, and I will research that. I was just talking to somebody the other day where I was like, if somebody says something I don't know or understand, the first thing I do is a deep dive if it's interesting to me. Okay. But if I am talking to somebody and I have a strong opinion or position on it, and they have a strong position, and we are not necessarily on the same page, I don't think they're wrong. I want to hear them out because I know there's a chance I could be wrong, but it doesn't mean if I learn something and I get to a point where I accept it as truth, like you are doing for your stuff, right? I will live with that truth, but I won't deny the potential of new information. I won't stand on a hill of I am right and therefore, because then I know that I'm not going to find true enlightenment because I'm denying these inceptors, these So, but listen, man, I gotta go. It's 7 o'clock.
I know.
I gotta eat
kind
dinner.
Of went overtime.
No, this is great. No, this I'm glad it went into a conversation that it did. It had very little to do with writing, but I still feel it has something to do with writing in the sense that we are supposed to approach ideas with an open eye and open arms and not necessarily deny. And what's funny is we're talking about
dug deep into the ultimate questions, into the this of what it means to live, and that is the essence of what boils up from within us and becomes our writing. And good writing comes from that space of truth. That's true suffering and humanity and everything.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, what are writing rules? Somebody just agreed and liked the rule, and they said, "I'll teach you that rule," and so forth and so forth. It's all made up. It's all fake when it comes to writing. And you could do what you want with it, create something, try something, break something. Just like life, you gotta somebody told me that you can't walk through this wall. Well, I have dynamite. I've just proven them wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's amazing. Anyway, how do they find you, sir?
How did you find me?
No, like if somebody's watching the show and you want them to come check you out, I'm gonna have your information in the description below.
Instagram.
But some people are listening.
Here we go. Find me on Instagram. Star Trek Cello Guy, or Star_Trek_Cello_Guy.
Guy. All right, that sounds good, man. I had fun. I had a lot of fun.
And then if you want to watch my YouTube channel, Pranakasha Productions. Pranakasha Productions.
Yeah, just like it says on your thing, Pranakasha. Kasha? Am I saying it? Pranakasha. Prana.
It's a Sanskrit word.
Is it Pran? Anakasha?
Pranakasha.
Pran Anakasha. So it's like two words, but it's one.
Pranakasha. Okay. Prana is the
prana.
Life force.
Oh, Pranakasha.
Akasha is space or ether. So it's a compound word, Pranakasha.
Oh, I see. Pranakasha. The A is, it's not like, what's the word? Longevity. Longevity has one G, but you say the G twice. You're only saying the A once here, so that's good. Pranakasha. Longevity. Say longevity.
Longevity.
How many G's are in longevity?
Oh, there is two, isn't there?
There's only one spelling.
Long.
You spell it with one G, but you say it twice.
That's good.
But Pranakasha, the A is one, so it's Pranakasha.
Okay, I have a solution for that little puzzle. Long. The first G isn't really a G; it's more like an N. Long. And the jevity isn't really a G; it's really a J. Longevity. So really, it's two completely different syllables, but because English is weird, we use the same letter for two completely different syllables.
Yeah, but I mean, I have an accent, so Long Island, you know. But if I also say water, there's no TER in water.
Water. Well, that's a D in there. You pronounce it like WADA, water.
That's right. And also, W is the only letter that you spell with a D, and instead of its own syllable. So A is A.
Oh, that's good. Because it's a double ya. It's two yas.
It's a double. Actually, it's a
double V.
No, it's a double U, like a letter U. It's a double U.
Yeah, W. But in French, it's double V, which is double V.
Double V. Because
what's it in Italian?
I speak Italiano. Yeah.
What's the Italian version of it?
They don't. So depending on like ZZ.
There's no W's in Italian.
There's W's in Italian.
What's it called?
It's just W.
W. You call it W in Italian?
Yeah, basically it's W. You see it? It's a W. It's a symbol. The alphabet.
Okay.
Are you talking about like
say the alphabet in Italian?
That's going to be too much for me.
Okay, just say W in Italian. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Well, gatto is cat, right? So gatto. No, because all the letters are the letters.
How do we get to cats?
Because the letters are the letters.
I know, but they have names. In French, W is W.
What is 1 second? Let me just.
And Z is Z.
What is W in Italian? W in Italian. Oh, dopavu.
Dopavu. So that's dopavu,
yes,
which is V, I believe.
Yeah,
is V.
It stands for double V. Yeah. It comes from the German origin.
Was.
Wat?
All right, we got to wrap this up.
Yeah, we do.
I know I'm not the host, but I'm going to have to take over here. We're going long, so
I'll go forever, but I do have to eat. Right. That's the problem. Anyway,
live long and prosper, my brother.
That's right. You too, Austin.
We shall continue our philosophical sojourn on some episode in the future.
Absolutely, we'll get into.
I believe it's gonna be on my show.
Yeah, let's do it. Bring it on.
We already have it scheduled, do we not?
Yeah, we do. I have the
All right,
link and
then we
everything,
got
I
it.
believe. Yeah, this is gonna be fun.
All right, so then we'll just part deux. We will continue this exploration into truth or no truth.
Dopave.
Okay.
Dopavoo. That's it. Dopavoo.
All right,
Listen,
then.
hasta luego, mi amigo.
Hasta luego.
And
Bye con Dios.
yeah.
Bye con
Arrivederci.
Dios.
Au revoir.
Cuídate.
Ting tate. Right?
And may God be with you.
Yeah. Well, that's goodbye, right? Goodbye.
Anyway, yes. Goodbye.
Real quick. One time I said, God bless you to somebody when they sneezed. And he says, I don't believe in religion. I said, well, Gesundheit. They said, thank you. I said, well, that's German for God bless you.
It certainly is.
But they were okay with that.
But then you should don't call him a Scheisskopf, though.
No. Or a Dummkopf. Or
Dummkopf is okay. But Scheisskopf, no.
If you ever meet an Italian, call him Strunzas. Anyway, everybody out there, I'm Thomas.
Later, dudes.
Later, everybody. If you're still here, keep developing the right mindset. I'll see you next time. Bye.
Got this.